Clint Eastwood looked at the thermometer and couldn't believe his eyes. 52 degrees Celsius. In the Almeria desert of Spain, the sun was burning like fire above their heads. And Sergio Leone was shouting, "Action!" "Sergio, this is madness," Clint whispered from under his cowboy hat. "No human can work in this heat." Leone's answer was cold and determined. "You're not human, Clint. You're Blondie. And Blondie doesn't die." Now I'm going to tell you the story Clint Eastwood never told. How the filming of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly turned into a death camp. How Hollywood's toughest man melted in the desert, and how a movie became a legend. In July 1966, the Almeria deserts were one of the hottest places on Earth. This was the place NASA used to simulate the surface of Mars, and Sergio Leone chose it, calling it the perfect Western landscape. "This desert will give us the true Western spirit," Leone had said in his Italian accent. Cowboys lived in conditions like this too. Clint Eastwood, despite this being their third collaboration, was realizing that Leone's obsession was becoming increasingly dangerous. The filming of Fistful of Dollars and For a Few Dollars More had been difficult too, but this was different. The film crew was a mixed group of Italians, Spanish, and Americans, and they were all going to work 14 hours a day in this desert. Even when the first day began, things started to go wrong. In the first week of filming, the water system broke down. Crew members began to dehydrate. 2 Italian technicians fainted, but Leone didn't stop. "This is just the adjustment period," he would say. "The desert will make us stronger." Clint worried when he saw the condition of the crew members, but the real danger hadn't started yet. "Sergio," Clint said one evening in his tent, "the men are falling. It's impossible to work in this heat." "Clint, you're a Hollywood star," said Leone with that familiar obsession gleaming in his eyes. "But I'm an artist, and for art, I'll risk everything." This sentence began to ring alarm bells in Clint's head. The most dangerous part of filming was the cemetery scene. For this scene, Leone decided to use real dynamite. "Fake explosives don't look realistic enough," he had said. "We'll use real dynamite." Spanish pyrotechnic expert Carlos Mendez was worried. "Señor Leone, this is very dangerous. There's wind in the desert. Control is difficult." But Leone wasn't listening. "Clint, you'll run during the explosion. You need to stay exactly 50 meters away." 50 meters. A very close distance for a real dynamite explosion. "Sergio, this is suicide," said Clint. 50 meters means nothing." "You're Blondie," Leone repeated. "Blondie escapes from everything." During the rehearsal of the explosion scene, everything went wrong. The wind changed direction. Dynamite fragments scattered toward Clint's direction. Clint had never run so fast in his life. Hot metal pieces passed by his head. One grazed his ear. "Enough!" Clint shouted with his face red with anger. "This madness is going to end." Leone remained calm. "It was a perfect scene. We'll do it again, but this time the cameras will be rolling." Clint couldn't believe it. He had almost died, and Leone wanted to do it again. That night the crew members rebelled. Spanish workers were complaining about the lack of safety. Italian technicians threatened to strike. "This movie is going to kill us," said makeup artist Lucia Rossi. "Leone has gone crazy." Clint stepped forward as the leader of the crew. "Tomorrow I'm going to talk to Leone. Either safety measures will be taken, or I'm leaving the filming." This was a big risk. Clint's contract stated that if he left the filming, he would have to pay all costs. The next morning, Clint entered Leone's tent. The Italian director was bent over storyboards. "Sergio, we need to talk." "Clint, we're getting perfect footage. You see it too." "I also see mortal danger," said Clint, not raising his voice but firmly. "Either you take safety measures or I'm leaving this filming." Leone looked up. There was surprise in his eyes. "Are you threatening me? I'm telling you the facts. This crew is paranoid, including you." Leone stood up. "Clint, you're just an actor. I'm the director. I make the decision, then finish this movie with someone else." Clint left the tent. Clint leaving the filming caused panic in the production company. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly was a very big budget film for that time. It couldn't be finished without Clint. Producer Alberto Grimaldi called an emergency meeting. Sergio, if we lose Clint, the film is over. $2 million goes down the drain. Leone stubbornly resisted. He's just an actor. I'm an artist. Risks must be taken for art. We don't have to die for art, said Grimaldi. You will take safety measures. After 2 days of tension, Leone stepped back. But not completely. Safety measures would be taken, but filming would continue. New rules. Desert temperature exceeded 50 degrees. Crew members drank 5 liters of water daily, but it wasn't enough. The most dangerous scene was the cemetery duel scene. Clint, Lee Van Cleef and Eli Wallach stood in a triangular formation. Cameras were rolling, and at that moment, wind brought a dust storm. Visibility dropped to 0. Nobody could see anybody. But Leone was shouting, "Continue." Sergio, nothing is visible. Clint shouted, "Perfect. Real Western atmosphere." That scene lasted 4 hours. They continued filming blindly in the dust storm. By the end of the 3rd week, Clint became dehydrated. His body temperature reached 40 degrees. He came to the point of fainting. Dr. Manuel Rodriguez examined him. "Senor Eastwood, you are in a dangerous condition. Your kidneys are strained. What about filming?" Clint asked. "Don't let filming mean your death." Even when Leone heard about Clint's condition, he didn't hesitate. "We'll shoot the scene tomorrow. Clint is a strong man. He'll pull himself together." This was the final proof that the Italian director's obsession knew no bounds. Clint's hospitalization really angered the crew. Spanish workers stopped work. Italian technicians declared a strike. "Leone is going to kill us," said sound technician Giuseppe Vari. "If even Clint can't endure it, how can we endure it?" Eli Wallach and Lee Van Cleef visited Clint in the hospital. "Clint, enough is enough," said Lee Van Cleef. "It's not worth risking our lives for this movie." "It is worth it," Clint whispered in a weak voice. "This movie is going to be a legend. I can feel it." But Leone must be brought under control. When he got out of the hospital, Clint had his final meeting with Leone. The time for diplomacy had passed. "Sergio, no one else is going to die in this movie. Do you understand? Clint, you got sick. I didn't get sick. You made me sick. You made the crew sick. You made yourself sick." Leone remained silent. "Now we're going to finish this movie. But in a healthy way. Otherwise, I'll talk to the production company and have you fired." This was a big threat. But Clint was serious now. The last 3 weeks were much more disciplined. Safety measures were strictly enforced. Working hours were shortened. Regular water and meal breaks were given. Leone was still acting obsessively. But now he was more controlled. "Ennio Morricone's music will make these images legendary," he would say. Clint was right. The movie was really becoming legendary. Those difficult filming days were turning into unforgettable scenes. At the end of August, filming was finished. It had lasted 7 weeks. 12 people from the crew had been hospitalized. 3 people were sent to their countries due to dehydration. But they had a perfect movie in hand. Clint and Leone talked on the last day. "Sergio, you're a crazy man," said Clint. "But you're also a genius director. Clint, you're my best actor. But also the most stubborn." Both started laughing. After 7 weeks of hell, both were exhausted but proud. When The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly was released in 1967, the world resounded. Critics were amazed by the realism of the desert scenes. Nobody knew how these scenes were shot. Combined with Ennio Morricone's music, the film became one of the greatest works in cinema history. Clint found Leone on premiere night. "Sergio, was it worth it?" Leone smiled. "Clint, everything is worth it for art. If we do filming like this again, I'll kill you. We won't do filming like this again. Because a movie like this is shot once." Those desert shootings made Clint Eastwood Hollywood's toughest man. No difficulty could break him anymore. After The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Clint showed the same endurance in films like Dirty Harry. Because he now knew, if he could survive in the Spanish deserts, he could survive anywhere. Sergio Leone was more careful in his subsequent films. In Once Upon a Time in the West, safety measures were perfect. because he hadn't forgotten the lesson he learned from Clint. Today in film schools, the filming of the good, the bad, and the ugly is taught as a lesson that there is no art without safety. Even when Clint Eastwood reached 90 years old, he still remembers those desert days. That filming tried to kill me, he says, but it also created a legend. When Leone died in 1989, Clint went to his funeral. He was the hardest director, he said, but also the best. The good, the bad, and the ugly became the greatest Western in cinema history. Those desert scenes were imitated worldwide, but never duplicated, because no production risks its actors and crew that much anymore. Safety standards have developed a lot, but the work of art created by Clint Eastwood and Sergio Leone will live forever. That desert almost killed them, but it also made them immortal. And every time Clint Eastwood shouts action, he still remembers those Spanish deserts, because there he learned that true art is sometimes born on the line between life and death. Blondie didn't die, but he almost did.